الفاتحة. آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salams to our Sheikh. Salams to our Grand Sheikh. We're sending salams to the awliya Allah. Salams to the Holy Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We're asking support from Sahib al-Saif, Shabrin Kabir Ya Rabbani, to send us something that is going to benefit us here and the hereafter. We're asking for his support, and we're asking that we have the proper spirit and the proper heart to receive his support. We are always asking, but he is always giving, because that one is Sheikh Abdul Karim Rabbani, the servant of the most generous, and he's always giving. Dunya and Akhirat is giving, but we are closing our hearts, so it's not reaching to us. Or we're putting barricades, putting veils in front of us, it's not reaching to us. We're putting stubbornness and arrogance. We're putting envy and anger. It is not reaching to us. Doesn't matter that time how much prayer you make, how much zikr you make, how long you've been a murid, how long you've been representing him. It doesn't matter. You're putting that as a veil in front of him. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who I am. It doesn't matter how long we've been with him. Son or daughter, wife or wakil, it doesn't matter. You're putting a veil in front, then the support may not reach unless we remove that veil. May Allah dress us with the most beautiful dresses to receive the madat and the himmat of our Shaykh, inshallah Rahman. We are nobody. We are nothing. We hope to become his servants. We hope to become his murids. We hope that he is happy with us. Alhamdulillah. Shukr, alhamdulillah. With the signs that are showing, we are on the right way. We are happy for that because of his support, not because of us. We don't like to speak. He's forcing us to speak. We don't like to sit here. They are forcing me to sit here. So we may say something, inshallah Rahman, that is going to benefit. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying in a hadith, if you don't love me more than you love everything in the world, your husband or your wife or your parents or your children and everything you own, then your faith is not complete. If you don't love me, if you don't sacrifice the things that you are attached to, that you have love for, your faith is not complete. If you don't sacrifice yourself, then your faith is not complete. What does that mean now, sacrificing ourselves for the sake of the Prophet ﷺ? So much words, so much ink written, so much words spoken. Everybody is saying something about what is happening in this situation today, in this world. Everybody has something to say. Just because everyone has something to say, just because everyone is saying something does not mean that they have something to say. Everyone may have an opinion. We are here, alhamdulillah, with the blessings of our Shaykh, to be his murids, inshallah. Not to have an opinion, but to sit and meditate on the haqq that is coming to us from Allah through his Prophet, through our Shaykh. To meditate on the haqq, to live the haqq. Not just to sit and to make meditation, but to live a lifestyle of the haqq. Because there's so much confusion in these days. Of course it's going to be. This is the Akhir Zaman, isn't it? This is the Akhir of the Akhir Zaman. This is a time of oppression. This is a time of zulm. This is a time of tyranny. Of course confusing things are going to happen. Of course violent things are going to happen. Of course this whole world is going to burn. Is it surprising to us? What is surprising to us is those ones who call themselves Muslims and believers. They're still looking at this world with hopeful eyes that things are going to get better and we're all going to live happily ever after, chasing after this dunya. No, it is not. These are very dark times, and more darkness is going to come. Holy Prophet has said it 1400 years ago. 1400 years ago he has said that a time will come to my ummah when there will be so many of them that they're like the foam of the sea. But the enemies, they're going to come and they're going to tear them apart like animals at a table. They're going to tear them to pieces. And the Sahabi Kiram said, Ya Rasulullah, is it because they are so little? And he says, no, it is not. They're going to be so many. So they asked him, what is the reason? And he said, it's because of hubub dunya. It is because the love of this dunya, not the love of the Prophet. Because the love of the Prophet makes our faith complete. The love of the Prophet ﷺ makes his Islam to be sweet. The love of the Prophet ﷺ, we will be able to live that time, yes, the feeling of Jannat here on earth before we pass. So much is happening in this world right now. Maybe the whole world is burning. The whole world is burning, but it's not burning with that love of the Prophet ﷺ. It's burning with something else. It's burning with anger. Are we upset? Are we angry that they have insulted the Holy Prophet ﷺ? Yes, we are upset. We're not happy with it. We're not jumping up and down with happiness about it. Neither are we, as some are suggesting, don't feel anything. Just turn your face and smile and shrug it off and say, it's okay. We're not of those ones either. It hurts us. But we are also not those ones who are going to run around in the streets headless and destroying things. Is this sunnat, by the way, to do it? What happened? Is this sunnat of the Prophet ﷺ or the Sahabi Kiram or awliya Allah, when something they don't like, something that is being said about Islam or about the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that they're going to run around in the streets like crazy people and burning everything and killing? It is not. It is not sunnat. It is a sunnat of revolution. French Revolution, Western revolutions. Revolution, it is forbidden in Islam. Yes, protests, it is forbidden in Islam. But we're caught up because the whole world was trained to look at Arab Spring, and protesting is something that is good, that is bringing something. So when something like this happened, now the whole world says it's time for me to be in the media now. Are we happy with what they had done to Holy Prophet ﷺ? No, we are not. Number one, they haven't done anything. Don't we understand? Even when they say Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or they just say Muhammad, they're not saying Prophet now. I'm watching in the news. They're saying Muhammad ﷺ. And to us, of course, to believers, to murids, to Muslims, it is not good manners just to call him by his name. That is one of the reasons the Ottomans were holding on strongly. They said, no, only high-level people, they're going to have that name, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And that is why Sahabe Kiram, when his name was mentioned, they were holding their hands to their heart because their heart was jumping with love. They were having a heart attack. They had to stop that. Our faith is so far away, at least we are making taqlid. At least we are making imitation. With that imitation, blessings is going to come. One day, our heart is going to leap too when the Prophet's name ﷺ is mentioned. That's why every time his name is mentioned, we are doing this. So many saying bidat. So, Prophet ﷺ, don't we understand yet that even those who hate him, and it is their job maybe to hate him, believers will love him, unbelievers, so many of them, they hate him. For 1400 years they've done that. They haven't done anything different. Are we expecting anything different? No, we're not. But even then, number one, I haven't gone to so many other numbers. Number one, even when they say Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, without giving salawat, without saying Prophet, that name itself means the most highly praised one. How you like that? So every time they want to say him, they say that most highly praised one. They are praising him. Don't you see the karamat now? Don't you see the mu'jizat? Don't you see Allah's miracle? That no one, by even mentioning his Prophet, whether they like him, they love him, they hate him, they're saying his name, it is a praise to him. Of course, Muslims are so heedless and headless, they don't understand that. But that name is holy, of course, which in the Ottoman times is not given to everyone. Only high-level saints, they have that name. Because that name is so holy, people are going to use it so much that now you see when you're passing by, especially big cities, yeah? Astaghfirullah lazim. Forgive me, Ya Rabbi, for saying this, but I'm giving an example. Muhammad's Pizza Shop. Isn't it? And people yelling at each other, cursing each other, calling that most holy name and cursing at each other with that name. So understand the respect now. Who is giving respect? When they're giving respect? What the Ottomans did. Number one, that name of the Prophet ﷺ. No one can change that. That praise is still given to him. And that praise is continuing. That praise, that azan is continuing. The azan Muhammadi is continuing for 1400 years non-stop. And now all over the world that azan is continuously being called. Continuous. It starts maybe from Far East Asia and then it begins. It stops there. The next one begins. The next one begins. The next one begins. The next one. And it circles the whole world. The whole globe, the whole planet is ringing with the azan Muhammadi. And the salawats of the Prophet ﷺ. So that praising is still continuing. We're not doing anything. No one can do anything. Allah has praised that. And no one can take him from his station. Allah has honored him. No one can take more. People are saying something against to him. More, his station is going to rise higher and higher. What is your problem? Worry about yourself. More his station is rising. The more salawats we're giving to him, more his station is rising. But we think that our salawats is meaning something too. We must say salawats. It is part of our faith, yes. But Allah and his angels are giving salawats to that Prophet. You think if this whole world, no, not this whole world, all these galaxies, everything in creation is cursing at that Prophet ﷺ, because Allah and his Prophet, they are sending peace and blessings upon him, you think it makes any difference? So what is your problem? There must be a bigger problem. There must be an underlying problem. There must be a problem that was very recent too. Muslims protesting in the streets is very recent. Muslims being heedless and headless and doing as they like is very recent. Muslims having opinions about this or that and not having a head. Everyone thinking their own way because everyone can read and write, and now everyone is issuing fatwas from Facebook. It does not mean Islam has lost it. No. Prophet ﷺ, the fact that in our time, in this, what we said before, in this end of times, in this Jababira times, that he can be worldwide insulted and Muslims can do nothing about it, is showing us our dishonor, not his. How helpless we are in defending the right of that Prophet. Yes, it is his right. It is his divine right. We're circling around in the streets. We're jumping up and down. We're burning. We're killing. Who is telling them to do this? Do people understand and realize who is controlling this? Who is motorizing people to do this? Who is? Big question mark there. So, do we feel upset? Do we feel saddened? Of course we do. Every time when the Holy Prophet ﷺ is misunderstood, is insulted, he's misrepresented, he's slandered, we feel upset too. As much as people will slander our Shaykh, we feel upset too. But those ones who used to call him so many names, I don't know what they used to call him. We know. Like Abu Jahl, for instance, he used to call him that. Where is their voice? Condemning those ones who did wrong. We have to condemn people who do wrong. We have to say, you do is wrong. What you did to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, it is wrong. Yes, it hurts us, not Prophet, not Allah. It hurts us. Where are the voices? But they're quick for other things. What happened? How are we going to take lesson from this event that is happening? Is this the first time Holy Prophet ﷺ was insulted? No. It happened 1400 years ago. When he first came, they used to call him Muhammad al-Amin. He was their most loved one and most praised one and most trusted one before he declared prophethood. Calling people to one Allah and one Prophet. Telling people, don't worship to the idols. Telling people, now you have an obligation to help the oppressed. Now you have an obligation not to be tyrants. That time, they turned and they started to slander him. With so many names. Yes. They used to insult him with so many names too. They did more than that. Those ones were saying, well, you know, we should be patient and we shouldn't say anything. We shouldn't feel anything. We should just laugh it off. Did Sahaba Kiram behave that way? Did they laugh it off? Did they turn their faces? Being patient is one thing, but how are you showing that patience? The Sahaba Kiram, they did more. Yes, they did more than turning to their face away. They did more than smiling and shrugging off. They did more than ignoring this issue. They did more than running around in the streets. They gave their life for the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And they sacrificed, yes, their fathers, their mothers, their children for the way of that Holy Prophet ﷺ. Their wealth and everything in it, everything that they have an attachment, and themselves, they sacrificed themselves for that Holy Prophet ﷺ. And so many at that time, especially the poets, they were writing verses ridiculing the Prophet ﷺ, and they used to put it in the Kaaba for people to see and for people to laugh. Especially those ones also, the hypocrites, they were doing that. Mushriks, they were doing that. People who refused to accept the people, some certain Jews, they were doing that also. Yes, Holy Prophet ﷺ and his Sahaba Kiram, they were willing to die for the sake of Allah and Islam. And once power was given to them, once they marched into Mecca and they took over Mecca peacefully, there was general amnesty. There was forgiveness for everyone. except for a few. This is open history also. And one of them was a poet who used to write poetry affecting, reaching so many people. As you know, poetry is very big in Arab culture. Pasting it on the Kaaba walls, ridiculing, insulting the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And there was a big poison. There was a big damage done to Islam and the Prophet's mission. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ says, everyone is forgiven. He gave certain conditions. Everyone who in the Haram al-Sharif, everyone who is in the house of Abu Bakr, everyone in the house of so and so, except for these few people. And one of them was a poet who did this, and it says death penalty to that one. That one turned around and he repented. And he accepted Islam. He was forgiven. Why he did that? Maybe you say because he did that for his life. That doesn't matter. He stopped what he was doing. He accepted Islam with the tongue. Nobody can say anything. What happened during one Khalifa's time? When the Christians, the Byzantines, they're seeing the Muslims, there was a fitna and they were fighting and killing each other. And the Byzantine king says, I'm going to make a treaty with you to help you against that one. And certain other things happen. And the Christian king is saying, he got one point, he got really upset. And he said, I'm going to dig and I'm going to desecrate and I'm going to destroy the tomb of Hazrat Ayyub Ansari that was in near Istanbul. I'm going to do that. Just to poke to the Muslims that they see they were fighting with each other and they were getting busy with each other and they were killing each other, and he was being very happy, and he said, I'm going to do that. When word reached to the Khalifa, when word reached to the Muslims, what did the Muslims say? Did they say, let's be patient, Allah has taken care of it, let's laugh it off, or let's go out in the streets? That Khalifa wrote a letter to that king and said, if you touch one stone from that grave of that Sahabi, Hazrat Ayyub Ansari, Qadasallahu Sir, Radiallahu An, he's on top of our head, we're asking support from him. I'm going to make sure that not a single church is going to be left standing in all the lands that is under Muslim rule. If the Muslims, like they say, is spread by the sword, which is a complete lie and a slander, but Kafirs always slander anyway. If they say Islam is spread by the sword, what is stopping Muslims from destroying every church and every synagogue and everything in every land that they conquer 1400 years ago or 1300 years ago or 1200 years ago? Why are they still existing now? Why is the holiest shrine to Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, is still standing now? That even Hazrat Umar, when he liberated Quds, and he went there and he was invited by the priest to pray there, he says, no, I will not, because they are going to bring this down. They're going to build a masjid here. How much respect Hazrat Umar, radiallahu an, may Allah raise his station higher and higher, asking support from him too. Who went on his hands and knees to clean the Haram al-Sharif and inviting the Jews to come back to pray. That the Christian crusaders stopped them from praying for hundreds of years. Yes, that is Islam. Islam is not passive. Oh, never mind, brother, we're Sufis, we're Muslims, we must be patient with everything. Nor are we crazy, violent ones, jumping up and down for no reason, no direction, but being directed by shaitan and the ego. And behind the shadows, the evil ones. Why am I saying? What am I getting at? Muslims, we have dishonored ourselves. Muslims, we have come into this position where we allow the holy prophets to be dishonored because we dishonored that one who is representing the Prophet ﷺ. Because 100 years ago we are saying, we don't want Khalifatul Rasul. We don't want Khalifatullah. We want to elect our own presidents. We want to have nationalism. We want to have self-determination. We want to have liberty, equality, fraternity, brotherhood, just like the French Revolution that we took it from, protesting in the streets and rejecting that Khalifatullah, saying we don't want a Khalifa. We want to be ruled by our own people. We don't want one ummah. We want to be divided. Yes. Because we dishonored Allah and His Prophet. Because Allah and His Prophet ﷺ has put obligation on us to have a Khalifa. And we did not want that Khalifa. For 100 years we want democracy. We want nationalism. We want Western understanding of how to rule and how to live. We don't want Shariatullah. We don't want Sunnat of the Rasul ﷺ. That's why this dishonor is coming. That's why it is very cheap. Tell me, in 1400 years, during the time of the Khalifas, has such a thing happened to the Holy Prophet ﷺ? That they were able to spread everywhere and Muslims, they were being defenseless. Or they were jumping around the streets. Or what kind of power did they have? Let's not go back 1400 years or 1300 years. Let's go back to maybe 100 years and a little bit closer to our time, for us to understand the last living Khalifa, ruling Khalifa, the last ruling Khalifa, the Khalifa of the Ottomans, Abdul Hamid Khan, Jannat Makan. May Allah raise his station higher and higher. We're asking support from him too, with the blessings of our Shaykh. During his reign, the French dug up a play. Yes, all those foolish Muslims who are studying Western philosophy and saying Islam needs this too. Voltaire, maybe you've heard of him? He wrote a play. And in that play, he insulted the Holy Prophet ﷺ. That play was just dug up. And it was just going to be performed a little bit here and there, because in those times, also in the 1900s, 19th century, 1800s, early 1900s, as you know, not everyone has access to the theater. Only those who are rich, those who are poor, they can go. So this is not everywhere. It's not like it's news today or Facebook. Everyone knows. No, only a select few. No. But news reached to the Khalifa in Istanbul from his ambassador, saying they are planning to do this, insulting the name of a Holy Prophet ﷺ. The Khalifa sent the ambassador back, telling them, don't pass your limit. The French started shaking, and they withdrew that play to be performed. The British took it. British, that supported the Saudi Shaitan Wahhabis, that now Saudi government, is there, who were against the Ottoman Khalifas. The British that time, they took that play and they decided to produce it. When the Khalifa sent the ambassador to him and said to him, better stop this, they refused. They said what today's people are saying all the time. Free speech, everyone's rights, or they bought the tickets, we cannot return the money to them. Khalifa said, okay, very good. Do that. And wallahi, by Allah, I will call it jihad. And every Muslim in every country in this world will declare a jihad against you. British withdrew, returned the money. And that is the time when the Khalifa, when Islam was at its lowest. The power of the Ottoman was at its weakest. They still were able to honor the Prophet ﷺ and to defend the Prophet ﷺ. Those were the Ottomans. That was the power that they had. Not within the streets jumping up and down, burning and killing, nothing. But with the sheer haybat of Islam, because that haybat is coming from the Prophet ﷺ, because that Khalifa is representing the Prophet ﷺ. We Muslims don't want a Khalifa, no haybat to us. They can be spreading and insulting Islam and the Prophet daily, and we have nothing to say. We get so fed up, we jump around in the streets like idiots. Don't we get it yet? They can never bring down Islam. But they're trying to break our love for the Prophet. Our love for the Prophet ﷺ is not shown jumping up and down and burning cars and killing people. Our love for the Prophet ﷺ is to love those whom he loves. Number one. Muslims are showing their love for the Prophet. MashaAllah, so much. Only recently, in Libya, don't even touch the awliya Allah yet. They dug up the body of a Sahabi Kiram, of a Sahabi that was buried, and they dig his body up and they put it in the streets, because they say Muslims are going to his maqam and they're asking him for a prayer, and we're committing a shirk. That Sahabi Kiram, he went all the way to Libya to spread the Islam, to bring the Islam to the Libyans. And this is what their grandchildren did. So, are we expecting anything more? Or should we prepare for, yes, more punishment to come to us, more dishonor to come to us? Everywhere we're seeing, almost every day, every week now, some way, somewhere, someone is digging up the Wahhabi shaitans, Salafi shaitans. I'm saying it, because those who have enmity to the friends of Allah, Allah will declare war on them. They are destroying maqams and destroying tombs. Where are the Muslims jumping around in the streets protesting this? Protesting why we ourselves, we dig up the bodies of the ones whom the Prophet loves, the Sahabis. And those ones who are following in his footsteps, awliya Allah, the friends of Allah, everywhere they are doing it now. I got news for you. They have been doing it ever since the Ottoman Khilafat came down. Wahhabi shaitans, they came up. And they're still doing it. Where are the Muslims now? Okay, maybe you're saying, we don't have too much feelings for the awliya Allah. We don't have too much feelings for the Sahabi Kiram. Astaghfirullah. But maybe you can say that. But you claim you're going up and down, going crazy because you say you love the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Well, let me tell you something. They destroyed the tombs of his grandchildren. They destroyed the tombs of his Ahlul Bayt in Mecca, in Medina. They destroyed the place. Maybe this is not going to make you to be upset. They issued a fatwa saying we will destroy the Rawza of the Prophet, because this is bid'at, this is shirk. We will destroy and we will dig up the body that is there. How you like that part? Kafirs are saying this. Those ones that you are praising, they are saying this. They're going to dig up. They're going to bring down that dome. They said they're going to dig up and they're going to destroy. They have destroyed so many tombs, so many prophets. Thousands of prophets are buried around the Kaaba. Yes. 124,000 prophets were sent. So many of them made their way back to the Kaaba, to Mecca, to be buried around the Kaaba. That people who are going there with proudness, going around and around the Kaaba, like donkeys, and taking picture, posing with the Kaaba in the background, okay, in their ihram, in their jeans, in their t-shirt, drinking Starbucks, posing and taking picture. Hey, how are you doing? I'm here, mashallah. Huh? Those ones, Muslims, Sheriff says Muslims, they are stepping on the bodies of prophets and awliya Allah, circling around, and they don't even know it. All that area now is being dug up anyway. All that area now is being destroyed. All trace of the Prophet is being destroyed. They're destroying everything that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has touched, has been under, has drunk from a well. Everything, not only Prophet, the Sahabe Kiram, all that surrounding area where 1400, 1300 years, Ahl Sunnah, strong people, following awliya Allah, following tariqat. Tariqat means the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and finding tabaruk, finding blessings in the places, in the things, in the houses, everywhere that the Holy Prophet and these holy ones they were. The Wahhabi shaitans, they destroy. Why are we not jumping up and down in the streets? Muslims are blind. They're sleeping. They don't know who is controlling who. You don't want Khalifatullah to control us. Shaitan is controlling us behind the scenes. Yes, it is. The ego is controlling us. Everyone is free to do as they like. Complete chaos is happening to this ummah that is supposed to be one. Because they're not following one. Everyone wants to follow their own head. They refuse to follow the Khalifa. They refuse to have a Khalifa. What is that Khalifa? What is the meaning of a Khalifa? The Khalifa, Khulafai Rashidin, coming. Who was the first one? Hazrati Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh. He was the first one. And he said, I am Khalifatul Rasul. I am the one representing the Prophet ﷺ. Hazrati Umar is saying, I am representing Hazrati Abu Bakr. That is representing the Prophet. The next one, that is manners, that is adab. The next one saying, I'm representing that. But everyone representing in reality the Holy Prophet ﷺ. But we refuse. We already brought that Khalifa down. We've already fallen in love with this dunya. We've already followed the ways of the Jews and the Christians that Holy Prophet is saying to my ummah in the last days they are going to. And now, because of some idiot who hates Islam and he does something, we know that we cannot do anything. And we're running around, jumping around, destroying things, saying that this is Islam. MashaAllah. Let me give you a suggestion. You want to protest? Protest. It's okay. But this suggestion I'm giving you, our Muslim brothers, they're not going to like it. Those Wahhabi shaitans, they're not going to like it. Because they've stopped it for hundreds of years. Because they say, don't do that. That is haram, bidah, shirk, kufr. You want to protest? You want to show your love for the Prophet ﷺ? Gather together. Doesn't matter, hundreds, thousands. Go out in the streets. Don't do anything. Just walk from one end to another end and say, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. Say that and see if the hearts of the kufr, the mushrik, they're not going to shake. Gather and make loud zikr. Don't do anything else. Remember Allah. Gather and give salawat to that Prophet ﷺ. We have been doing that. Ahl Sunnah, we have been doing that for 1400 years. Oh, but it stopped. Why? Because the Wahhabi shaitan say, don't. That is haram, that is bid'ah, kufr, shirk. to give salawats, to gather in large numbers. And to remember Allah. That is wrong, they are saying to us. You think that time when you're going to gather together, that we're going to gather together and to say Allah, Allah, Allah in the streets and giving praises to the Prophet ﷺ, you think that time Allah, because Allah and His Prophet and all the holy ones, they are the ones who is going to look at us and see to change the condition of the world, condition of the people. We must change it first. How are we going to change it if we're not remembering Allah? If we're not remembering the Prophet, if we're not loving the Prophet? Loving the Prophet is not just by saying that we love the Prophet, but it's putting the Prophet ﷺ first in our lives. Having a Khalifa, wanting a Khalifa, living Islam, living Shariatullah, living the Sunnat of the Rasulullah ﷺ. That is how you're going to show your love, yes. Go out and say Mawlid. Go out and give salawats. Don't do anything else. Go out and say La ilaha illallah peacefully. Every zikr is peaceful, of course. But the haybat is coming. The power is coming with that. Didn't Prophet ﷺ used to do that? We've forgotten. Everyone is watching movies. Watching movies from Message, from this and that. We're not learning anything. You want to protest? Do that. Say La ilaha illallah. And don't say La ilaha illallah where you're not going to get into trouble. Say it where it's going to hurt you. Then that time you're going to test whether the love for the Prophet that you have or not. Are you willing to be brave for the Prophet or not? Don't do anything else. Don't burn cars, don't jump up and down, nothing. Just gather and do zikr. Gather and say La ilaha illallah to the faces of the kuffar. You want to protest in front of the embassy, it is allowed, they say. I'm not telling anyone to do it. But maybe it's a free speech in this country to gather and to say, Inshallah Rahman, we are doing that. And for your information, we've been doing that for so many years. We're going, no, not to our own, not to the city, not to New York, not to Times Square. We're going straight to Washington, D.C. in front of the White House with Shah and his blessings. We've been doing that for so many years and saying La ilaha illallah, saying to them, we exist, we are here, Islam is here. And giving the salawats to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Something is going to change. Something will change. Because the power of the Shahadat is stronger than anything else in this world. The power of La ilaha illallah is stronger than anything else. It's stronger than any weapon, any warhead, any anger, anything. It's able to polish hearts. It's able to polish galaxies. It's able to bring light to everywhere. But Muslims don't believe in that anymore. They don't believe in the Shahada. They believe in protests. They believe in writing placards. They believe in the media, wanting media attention, and with that something is going to change. So where is our belief now? To Allah and His Prophet and the Prophet's ways? Or we believe in the ways that the Holy Prophet is saying is forbidden for you, that we still have faith in? We are not happy with what had happened, what they had done to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. It is not going to stop. It will continue. Our hands are tied. This is the lowest level of faith where we cannot change anything. Not with our hands, not with our mouths, with our hearts now we have to be. To say, Ya Rabbi, we are removed from these ones. And we are asking for you to send peace. We're asking for you to send blessings back into this world. We're asking you to bring the Sahibuz Zaman to come back and to come and to get rid of unbelief and wrong ideas from this world. Our job now is to sit or to stand and to remember Allah and to give praises to this Holy Prophet ﷺ, and to take the teachings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ through our Shaykh and to put it in our lives. The love that we are going to show to him is through that. Every time they are insulting him, his station is rising higher. His station is rising higher. His station is always rising. But the Muslims, the Ummah, our station is sinking lower and lower and lower every day. Because in reality, we are the ones who have rejected that Prophet. By rejecting the Khalifa, we've rejected that Prophet. Because Prophet ﷺ is the Khalifa of Allah. And since the Khilafat fell up to this time, wars have continued, never ending, in every part of the world. Areas that the Ottomans were controlling, they have exploded. From the Balkans to the Middle East, North Africa, Western China, so many areas, they have erupted. Because the Muslims have fallen in love with this dunya and they've rejected the Khalifatullah. And they're saying, we don't want the Shariat, we don't want the Sunnah of the Rasulullah. We want to live our own lives, our own lifestyle, our own selfish, egoistic, Western lifestyles that we are taking, that the West, more and more they're discovering the beauty and the truth of Islam, and they're running towards Islam. But the Muslims are not understanding this yet. But coming into Islam too, we have to understand, we have to leave every jahiliyyah, every wrong idea, every bidat from Islam. Not to say, now I'm a Western Muslim and I come into Islam, now let's change something about Islam. Let's make it Western kind of Islam. Men, women mixing. Women not covering their head. Men not wearing Islamic clothes. Live Western lifestyle. It is not. Holy Prophet ﷺ brought Islam, and Islam, it is a lifestyle. It is not something that you just do once a week on Fridays like the Christians. It is not just something that you're saying we do once a year like the Ramadan. Islam comes with its own identity, with its own lifestyle, that for 1400 years when Islam was strong, that nobody can say anything against the Holy Prophet ﷺ. We've made our lifestyle and our identities distinct from kafirs, unbelievers. But since the Khilafat was veiled, since we've rejected the Khalifa, since we've separated into different nationalities and ummats, that the Holy Prophet say tribalism, it is forbidden. So we become tribes under different names, saying countries. That every time countries become independent from ruling, they didn't want the Khalifa to rule them, the Kafirs were ruling them. That is called colonialism, correct? For hundreds of years. Once they leave, Muslims and Muslims crush against each other. From that time until today is not stopping. Yes, we need to go back and we need to understand how we are supposed to behave, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to react. Otherwise, everyone has an opinion, everyone has an idea. Everyone is saying, Quran is saying this, Quran is saying that. But I'm watching too, they're very slick. They don't mention they're not mentioning the hadith. They're not mentioning riwayats. They're just taking the Quran in translation and just saying it generally. But do we have precedents? We have. Sahabe Kiram did. Tabi'ins did, Tabi'ins did, following right up to the last Khalifa, ruling Khalifa of the Muslims. Right up till the last Khilafat, that is the Ottomans, that ruled for 700 years, that they did not allow, in the weakest time, they did not allow that name of the Prophet ﷺ to even be said in a bad way. That they were threatening with the power of Allah to the West to stop. They were not provoking the West were provoking them. They say, stop, don't pass your limits. Because Islam, we do not insult any prophet. Ever you seen 1400 years, the Muslims insulting Musa alayhi salam. But we're seeing 1400 years non-stop. This is true, it is open history. The Jews, some of them, they are still insulting the Holy Prophet ﷺ. They did that time, they're still continuing now. Okay, let's push aside Holy Prophet ﷺ. They're insulting their own prophets. They're writing books insulting their own prophets. Free speech. Are we looking for free speech? Are we looking for Allah's speech? Are we insulting Isa alayhi salam? 1400 years, you ever see Muslims insulting Isa alayhi salam? But never ending, they're insulting the Holy Prophet alayhi salam. We have not done that. We have not done anything. But we're always being provoked. And Muslims must know, if you're being provoked, what is the sunnat? How we should behave, how we should react, how we should think, how we should feel, how we should act. If you don't have a shaykh, your shaykh is shaitan. That time, you can claim whatever you want. Alim, ulama, mu'min, Muslims. You don't have a shaykh, shaitan is going to control you. That time, shaitan can easily say to you, just go out in the streets, kill a couple of people, burn, show the power of Islam, mashallah. Then they're going to shake. They're not shaking. As we have said, they have not insulted the Holy Prophet ﷺ. He is the most praised one, and he will always be the most praised one. They are only insulting themselves, and the curse is going to fall on those who insult the Holy Prophet ﷺ. We are praying that they turn around, that they understand. We've been praying. Don't think we haven't been praying. 1400 years we've been praying. 1400 years we've been praying for people to come around and just to accept the Prophet as a prophet. That's all. But they didn't. They didn't. They continued. Those who are watching, who are not Muslims, Prophet ﷺ, he is Rahmatul lil Alameen. He is the mercy to all the worlds. Muslims believe that. He is. Muslims are not separating. You are separating. Because when the Holy Prophet ﷺ was born, everyone that was born from that time until Judgment Day belongs to his nation. You call yourself a Jew, you belong to his nation. You call yourself a Christian, you belong to his nation. You call yourself a Buddhist, a Hindu, whatever you call yourself, we are saying we are all part of the same nation. You and me. Islam is an undiscovered treasure still, and it is being hidden for the past 100 years by the enemies of Islam. The light of Islam will come out soon, inshallah. We are praying that our Shaykh will come soon and will bring the truth back, will wake up this ummah, Muslims and non-Muslims, to understand what is our destiny, to understand what is our responsibility, and to understand the purpose of our creation. Not to fight with each other, but to unite with each other, to worship together, to know each other, and to know Allah. وَمِنَ اللَّهُ تَوْفِيقٌ. May Allah forgive me and bless all of you. For the sake of our Shaykh, for the sake of the Sultan al-Awliya, for the sake of all the holy ones, for the sake of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Rahmatul lil Alameen. And we are praying that may the Prophet's maqam be raised higher and higher. Amen. And may his holy city be taken back by those who really love him. Amen. And may the Mecca be taken back by those who really love him. Amen. And may the Istanbul and may everywhere in the world be taken back by those ones who are loving him. Amen. To put honor back into his nation, inshallah Rahman, and into everyone that is living on this world. Wa min Allah tawfiq, with the blessings and the medat of our Shaykh. We're asking Allah to forgive us and to keep us in the straight path and not to deviate, and for us to not be in ghaflat, for us not to entertain any fitna to be kept away, for us to be stronger, and for us to bring people in to an understanding about Islam, about the Prophet and about the tariqats. Fatiha. Amen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.